Hi Kiwi! Alright, we are back at Fury, and I discovered something in extra mode under one more fight. There is actually another boss that we have yet to see, the Flame. Well, wish me luck. We're gonna see how this goes. I really have no idea what to expect.
Survived you already. I will survive again.
Okay, interesting. So, sounds like these guys have a history that we're not strictly told, but if I had to surmise, since we're kind of assumed, I think it was the Hand, the fifth boss, had kind of collected us from the surface and put us into the jail, we probably beat this guy sometime in the past. Alright, so far so simple. Looks like okay, so kind of just a combination of shockwaves and orbs. Alright, what can I talk about? So I recently got to visit an old friend of ours. If I were to give her a name based on, oh my goodness, this is a lot. If I were to give her a name based on our fruit salad of friends, if you'll call it, she was Raspberry. But I also call her Mom because she basically kind of took the role. What hit me there? Oh, he shoots a projectile. Okay, so she kind of we met her. She's a friend of ours from grad school, and she kind of took on the supportive mom role for us a fair bit. How is this gonna work? Okay, well I dodged wrong. But anyway, I got to visit her for the first time in, I think last time she said last time we met up was in 2019, which is, oh my goodness, 5 years ago. Let's not think about that. Just like right before COVID, I think hit. Which, wow, that was a long time. But it was so nice getting to see her again. I had been at the end. I had been in the middle of a week of just being away for work, and I was really burnt out because I was staying with my parents. So the thing about staying with my parents, like I love my parents, but there is, when I'm visiting them, I feel like I should spend time with them, which isn't how I like to recuperate after a stressful long day of work. I like to hide in my room, play video games, read, or just do something very chill. But my parents are more we want to go out, we want to do something, we want to see the sights, eat the foods, do the fun things. And like, that's just not how I favor living my life, I guess. I am an introvert. I do get some energy, but how does this work? Okay, dodge. Okay, cool, we're good. Anyway, like I am, ooh, okay, I can do this. Can we get him? We got him. Okay, cool, next phase. I get my energy recovered from having time to myself in a quiet zone to do what I'm in the mood. Oh, goodness. Okay. Well, gonna have to learn to react to that one, I think. He's wearing gloves on his mechanical arms. That seems silly to me, I guess. I don't know. Oop, got hit by that. Anyway, so, like, this is gonna sound sad, but, like, it was so nice. Like, despite me being that introverted sort of self that I am, it was so nice to spend time with someone who wasn't my parents, who shares similar hobbies and interests with me. And it was also fun getting to like just experience some of her interests that I have like no experience with. And I'll comment on that in a minute because it's going to be a very strange story. But it was just, okay, good, I can parry that. That's good. Okay. Just have to be ready for it to come. Thankfully, he kind of announces it. But anyway, so like it was genuinely so nice after having almost 2 weeks of being away from Kiwi due to work, spending all of my free time either sleeping because I'm tired after work, and not sleeping well because I'm not in my typical space where I can rest easily. And then also my parents' sleep schedule just does not work for me whatsoever. Oh, okay, I see what I have to do here. Back and forth, 3 times. Okay, there we go. Like, my parents' sleep schedule does not work for me.
Not this time.
They're pretty darn loud relative to the setting I tend to live in. I live in a pretty rural area with Kiwi, and Kiwi by nature is also pretty darn quiet, so it is... Okay, goodbye, arm. I guess, are you just gonna use that as a weapon now? Yeah, you are. Okay, sure. Somehow I feel like you're scarier with 3 arms than with 2, but whatever. I don't know. Again, I've been... It was exhausting, and my parents and my interests don't terribly well overlap, so aside from the periodic phone calls with Kiwi, which again had to be kind of limited because I only have so much time to sleep, and what time I don't have to sleep is supposed to be spent with my parents while I'm visiting, my parents don't share a lot of the same interests as I do, and so it just aside again from the occasional phone call with Kiwi, I didn't really have a lot to like talk and like interact with people on like a level that I typically favor doing. And it just boiled down to me being very homesick, very strongly missing Kiwi. But I digress. Why I'm talking about this is when I met up with Raspberry, or Mom, or however we want to refer to her, it was like for the first time in almost 2 weeks, I had someone I could like be physically present with and connect with, and like have conversations, share interests, learn about their interests and them, and likewise have them learn about mine, and just have fun conversations. And I don't know, I almost cried because I was just so happy to have that sort of interaction. And like, again, I love my parents, but I wouldn't say they're always the best at listening to me or like having conversations. Like sometimes they'll ask how I'm doing, they'll ask like what this thing in my life, this life event that's happened. Oh, that was cheesy. Like they'll ask what's going on in my life events, but they won't stick on that conversation. Like they'll have like 1 or 2 sentences to follow up on that conversation, and then they'll just kind of get distracted and move on to their own conversation. And then, especially if they're together, if they're both there with me, they start talking to each other more than they talk to me, and I just listen to them go back and forth without any real input. And it's kind of exhausting. So to, again, have someone other than Kiwi who's like actually willing to listen to me and like engage in my interests, and I can share in theirs, because I mean it goes both ways with me and my parents. I don't necessarily share a lot of their interests either, which makes it hard to connect with them the same way they have a hard time connecting with me, I guess. But I don't know, it's just it was so nice seeing Raspberry, and I hope I see her again sooner than like 5 or 6 years time. I need to reconnect with a bunch of my friends. Moving a good 4 to 6 hours away from where I grew up made it very hard to stay connected with a lot of the people that I was originally connected with. And aside from occasional once a year sort of get-togethers, that's about the extent of what I see of them. And I think part of it is when I go downstate, it's either again to see or whenever I visit my parents, it's to either do work or spend the holidays with them, where they kind of lay claim to. Oh, he's mad. He threw his arm. Good try, bro. All right, what's your desperation move gonna look like?
For demons, for the ones who fell.
I guess these are people we have killed, although I don't know anyone's actual name. I only know their like title, like the Hand, the Burst, the Flame. This guy's the Flame, by the way. Oh well. Anyway, all I want to say is I had a genuinely good time with visiting Mom, and I'll kind of talk about that experience now. So, we went to a place I think called Fogo. Her parents were treating us, and or Fogo, I think it's Fogo, or but it's basically a Brazilian steakhouse, and so we were definitely paying a premium to go there, but it's like a once in like half a decade sort of experience, so it was worth splurging. Basically, the way this place worked was it was a all-you-can-eat sort of meat sort of affair, which is wild. Like I've never seen people do that. Oh goodness. Okay, 1 second, gotta focus. Okay, dodge that, block. Oh, okay, don't block that. Hold on. Okay, I think oh, that's cheap. He barely left us any room to block to avoid that. Okay, we got him. I think that's it. Did we get him? We got him. Okay, and that is the Flame conquered. What are we doing there? Oh goodness, we were walking in place something weird there. Asb. All right, well there we go. The Flame is conquered. Oh cool, look at that, some concept art. That's really cool that they do this for all the bosses if you do them in the extra mode. I've only just discovered this, but we should I should look at those later. All of them if I can.
The jailer is the key.
You've unlocked the mysterious Bernard. He is waiting you for you in Furier difficulty under one more fight menu. Oh gosh. There's one more boss that I didn't know about. All right, let's take a look at this. Furier. Our first Furier fight, Bernard. All right. What have you got to sell to us, Bernard? Well, wish me luck, Kiwi. Another new boss. I don't know what to expect. I mean, the Flame wasn't too bad, but we were fighting on Fury difficulty. Now we're going on to Furier. All bets are off. Well, a death or here isn't the end of the world. We can afford a death or two, but let's see what we get. All right. So interesting. He's kind of a polygon design. And, all right. Okay, I can block that. I did get hit there, but looks like the timing's a little tight to block. Oh, gotcha. Anyway, while I'm fighting and learning this new boss, who I'm sure will be a cakewalk. My first ever Furier difficulty boss in this playthrough. I don't think I ever did Furier actually in my original playthrough either. I was very happy with beating the story mode and was like, I'll save the higher difficulty for another day. And I think that day is after we beat Bernard, right? Or I guess technically it's today because we're fighting a Furier boss right now. Pardon me. All right. So anyway, so we went to Fogu, and so the way it works is they have kind of a salad bar sort of arrangement, but also an all-you-can-eat meat sort of arrangement where people will just come around the room with skewers of meat and slice it at the table you're sitting at, which is wild. I've never had a culinary experience like that before, like I think, counting it, I may be mistaken, but I had at least 11 different types of meat from that arrangement. Not counting whatever I got from the salad bar for like, because the salad bar had a lot more than just salad. It had like brisket and soup and fruit. We went around brunch time and it was pretty funny. So mom's mom, so I guess technically grandma, oops, oh goodness, lasers. She saw that they were offering waffles because we were at brunch time. They were offering waffles as an option at the all you can eat at the salad bar sort of area. And she's like, who eats waffles for like dinner? And she's and we're just like, Americans do weird things. And she was so bothered by the idea that we both, as a joke, got a waffle for, oh goodness, these shockwaves. Okay, we're still alive. We're barely still alive. And now we're dead. Anyway, so mom and I both got a waffle at the end for dessert. Just to bother her mom. Like, oh, that was it. She was like, who eats waffles for dinner or dessert? And I'm like, have you ever thought about what a waffle is? It's the same concept as cereal, honestly. It's just straight carbs and you coat it in more sugar with like maple syrup and butter. Waffles are absolutely a dessert. Cereal is absolutely a dessert when you look at what it's made out of and compare it to other desserts. I mean, if you eat cereal with milk, it is just straight on basically an ice cream with a cone. You're just having more cone than ice cream, unless you have a lot of milk. Anyway, hot takes aside, so this restaurant was so fun. I stuffed myself silly, but I actually ate to the point of not being sick, which is rare for me. I usually end up eating in these sort of all-you-can-eat arrangements. I eat until I am just non-functional for the rest of the day. And I will say the drive back, we were both really quiet. Like, we were having a lot of conversation. We carpooled to the restaurant, mom and I. But we had a lot to talk about on the ride there, just catching up. But the ride back to her apartment, we were so quiet. We were just like, we're full. This requires energy to like conversate. So when we got back to her place after having that lovely meal again at the, I probably won't eat like that very often, if ever. Like again, it's maybe a once every half decade sort of arrangement, just because of cost. But it was nice that her parents treated us. I guess I'm very thankful for their generosity in that regard. But we got back to her apartment and I got to see some of her, I got to see her pets who I hadn't seen in a similar amount of time, and it was really heartwarming. Her dog, I think was, if I recall, abused, and she adopted her, mom adopted the dog from a shelter, and did a lot of work between training and just like desensitization and trying to get her used to human interaction. And she's still very nervous around strangers, but she immediately recognized me. She came up, she looked at me. I don't know if she probably recognized me by sight rather than by sound, but she was so happy to see me. Like, she immediately started cuddling with me. She just like melted into me. It was so nice and so happy to see a dog that has had all this work put into her quality of life, who has these traumas that, I mean, those traumas will stick with a dog. They don't forget that sort of thing very easily at all. But to see her like remember me after almost 6 years of not having visited, it's so nice. It made me feel good. I guess it's closer to 5 years, but still. I'm really happy that she, Mom, if you end up watching this video and listening in, just know that I'm so proud of you for what you've done for your pets and for what you do for other people. You're a very kind and caring individual, And I know it can sometimes be hard to feel that way, but I really want you to know that what you do doesn't go unnoticed, and it's greatly appreciated by your friends and the people around you. But with all that said, maybe I'm getting a little too saccharine for the nature of this video. Oh, well, I guess I was a little too aggressive and wandered into that bullet zone. Oh well. Anyway, what else did we do on that day? Because there was a lot that we ended up doing. Oh goodness, my brain is freezing. Okay, so after we went to this restaurant and we got back to her house, so we hung out, we played, or we caught up. She has some really cool art pieces in her house that she made. She's been doing like these little tiny houses. They're not, they're kind, I think they're kind of Lego adjacent, but they may be their own sort of craft kit, I forget. But they're really cool. They look almost like doll houses that she crafted from pre-made kits, I believe. And then also kind of three-dimensional artwork with mostly Pokemon theme, but it's like, I wish I had the time for these sorts of crafty projects. I used to crochet a bit, but I've just been too busy with work to sit down with it. And again, my hand tends to cramp if I do these sorts of like fine motor skill sort of tasks for too long. All right, we've got him down to the close quarters combat. Can I beat him and see the next phase? Let's find out. He seems to pretty reliably block the 4th hit of my combo with few exceptions. Maybe it's better if or he teleports out of the way sometimes too. Maybe it's better if I just don't use it. I don't know. Whoa, that was fancy. Doing just like a perpendicular somersault in the air. Would that be parallel? I guess it would be parallel. I don't know. Perpendicular to the normal stance of a human body. Nice. Okay, we phase him. Huh. All right, what does your 4th phase have to entail? Okay, you're attacking fast. You know, I'm starting to think maybe yeah, he is. His patterns are based on all of the bosses. This is the scale. This is the 4th boss that had like the watery green effect. That's pretty cool. So that means the last one, yeah, the last one he was teleporting around, that was what is him? I forgot what the 3rd boss's name is again. I'm pretty sure the 4th boss is the scale. I can't remember, but that's really cool. Okay, and yeah, when we did the 2nd phase, he had the laser that starts from the ground and works its way into the air. That's the Straps ability. That's really cool that they made a boss that has kind of like a combination of all of the different mechanics from the previous fights. I like that a lot. And they made him harder too, no doubt about it. But that means nothing is extremely unfamiliar. It's mostly just synthesizing everything that I put together and putting it into one true fight. I like that. I like that a lot. It feels kind of satisfying to close on this boss as like a final fight. Although again, we'll probably do the Furier bosses, so it's not a true closure, I suppose, unless I cannot beat this guy for the life of me and need to give up and try again later. Oh goodness, this pattern like is very tight on the timing. If you dash the wrong direction, you're just kind of gonna get hit no matter what. It's punishing for a quick and simple mistake to make. I don't think I can dodge that. Oh, okay, cool. I wasn't convinced I would have enough distance to dodge that without getting caught on the other side. Anyway, what was I saying? I was okay, so yeah, so it was really nice. So she has like 1 cat and 1 dog, and so the dog was super happy to see me and clearly remembered me, which is, again, ridiculously heartwarming. The cat, I don't know if she really remembered me as well, but she did eventually start to tolerate my presence. Like, she started off being kind of wary of me and keeping her distance, and at one point she did approach me, and so I tried to like entice her to come and say hello, and that kind of scared her off. So I realized, okay, she's the sort of cat that needs to approach me on her terms and nothing else. So we'll just coexist for a while and let that happen, and that worked so well. I just let her kind of lay in her bed, kind of not really super close, but adjacent enough to say we were in the same room sharing a space, and for cats that can be enough. Just proximity matters to cats. It really does. And then by the end of the visit, I was able to pet her, and she's a chatty catty. She's very funny. She has very strong opinions, and whenever she wanted mom's attention, she would just start trying to knock things off the table in typical cat fashion, of course. But I guess they're technically my siblings if we're going by the like she's my mom sort of commentary. So my sisters, my sisters are doing well, and I'm very glad. Mom takes very good care of them. Anyway, I digress. Okay, so this is probably, I've also forgotten the song. You're the song. Okay, and yep, that's the pattern that I always got hit by the song. Oh, and you're delaying your third hit. Cool. Gonna definitely get hit by that a couple times, aren't I? Oh dear. Shockwaves, Kiwi, shockwaves. But all right, so after we got food, after we saw the kids, after I explored all the beautiful artwork in her house that she had mostly crafted herself, which is again really cool. We went out. We got slushes at a kind of a cafe, which was just I got a densely mango flavored drink. It was super yummy. I really enjoyed it. It's funny, Mom vehemently hates mangoes, thinks they're the scourge of the earth. And I unfortunately don't agree on that. I love mango. It's funny though, in our group, like our close group of friends, which was Kiwi, Mom, and then our other probably grad school mom, who like we'll call Lemon, I guess, if we're going by the fruit salad names. I think she was allergic to mangoes, so she couldn't eat them. So it was basically 2-on-1. Kiwi and I like mangoes, and Mom and Lemon did not like mangoes. Oh, geez. I don't think I could have dodged that if I wanted to. I mean, maybe I could have dodged diagonally towards the center of the stage, but that was a hard dodge to pull off with 2 separate shockwaves. And even then, we know that the song particular shockwave, I'm just so prone to getting hit to. Ugh. And of course, lasers are also a problem for me typically, and I got hit by both. What am I gonna do, Kiwi? I am bad sometimes. All right, block these. I was ready for it this time. Okay, I remember that use a layered hit. Okay, this is looking a lot better going into the CQC section, the close quarters combat, the CQC section. I still can't dodge that though, apparently. All right, unfortunately, we're gonna have to make it through this desperation move with Bernard barely having any HP left. I wonder why he's called Bernard instead of something like actually, no, he's called the Bernard, isn't he? That's weird. I don't know. I'd be curious to know the origin of his name. Ooh, okay. Okay, oh, no. Oh, that's unfortunate.
Don't give up. Keep trying.
We can do this. We can try again and we can get this. All right. All right. I've got this time. Anyway, so I was talking about my visit with Mom, if I recall. I fast forwarded a little bit. I may have done some other things on the side that will be uploaded later. This is actually a later date recording. I've actually beaten all of Furier mode, and I've come back to use the skills that I honed against the Bernard and finally get the win that I didn't get last time. As you can see, that's going quite well, isn't it? Don't worry, I promise I can do this. I guess, full disclosure, it's been like 2 weeks since I beat Furier, so I just was like, I'm gonna load up the Bernard and I'm gonna beat him today, and we'll see if I get it or not, but it's worth the shot anyway. Anyway, so I did look at the previous recording and confirm that I was talking about my visit with Mom, and we got up to the point where, what did we do after we visited her apartment? We went out to a little shopping center that's in kind of a primarily Asian-focused district. We got slushies, or they just call them slushes, not slushies. I guess I've never had a slushie before. I think those are like more just like the melted ice mixed with usually flavorings. This was using whole fruit. And then a lot of ice, I think, and maybe some milk just to make it a little creamier, potentially. But it was darn good. It was so enjoyably refreshing. I really enjoyed that drink. And Mom may hate mango, but I was very happy with my choice. She got a peach drink, and we both enjoyed our drinks. It was also a nice walk. So the path to get to this location is within walking distance, probably about like, I want to say maybe like half a mile away from her apartment, so it wasn't really that bad of a walk. It was actually quite a nice day. The path is by a waterside, so there's something inherently soothing about just water, like large bodies of water to me. As long as I'm not on them. If I'm on them, then I have a small panic attack of, oh god, am I gonna drown? I still have a genuine thalassophobia, fear of things under the water. Particularly, I don't enjoy the feeling of there being something under there that could eat me or that I cannot see. Oof, okay. not having the hottest start on this, but give me a chance. I'm warming up. I'm warming up, I promise. Anyway, so we went to this little Asian shopping district, which was really cool. Had a lot of mixed culture options. The store we went to, I think, had a lot of more Japanese focused things though. One of the stores had like a mountain of manga both in English and in Japanese, and it was really cool. Unfortunately, there weren't any series that I'm not really following any series in manga that I'm not reading on like an app. And when it comes to hard copies, I tend to favor not having. I like hard copies for video games, but I'm usually not big on hard copies for like books or manga, just because they pile up so quickly and take up a lot of space. For me, one video game can last me upwards of a month or two, and that's if I'm playing it actively. If I'm playing it casually, it can last way longer. So for me, like, I don't mind having physical copies of books, and I prefer it. But if something's easily accessible online, I probably favor experiencing it through that medium rather than anything else. Especially because it gives me the option of, if I'm just like chilling in a car or waiting for something, I can just pull out a chapter and start reading it, which is a little harder to do with physical copies if I'm not able to have if it's not a good place to have it on person. Like, for example, a cell phone, I can put in a plastic bag and I can still read it. Like, I read in the shower all the time. And don't get me wrong, Kiwi, you're gonna hate me saying this, but you know already, I have done this with books as well. I had a very strange setup when I was younger, where I had basically a plastic bag that I fitted with gloves on the inside. Like, basically, if you've ever seen like a hazardous fume hood sort of thing in a chemistry lab, I had that sort of arrangement where I had gloves with the openings pointing outwards of the bag so that I could fit my hands into the bag and turn pages within the plastic bag that was kind of inflated with air so that I wouldn't like interfere with or contact the pages. And that let me read books in the shower. I didn't do it often because it was such a cumbersome setup process, but I still find it funny that I did do that at all. But where was I? So anyway, so we went to two shops. That one and that shop I actually, so Kiwi has a set of chopsticks that she really enjoys using, like a complete psychopath, mind you. She okay, hear me out when I say that, but she eats cereal, she eats popcorn, she eats pretty much everything with it. Like, I've seen her eat soup with chopsticks. And the goal is to just make it so she eats it slower. She's dieting pretty hard right now, so she needs to be conscious of what she eats, and she tries to like limit how much she eats. And if you eat slower, it's going to leave you feeling full, or at least give the satisfaction of having had a meal a little bit longer, I suppose. But I don't know, watching someone eat milk and cereal with chopsticks, there's something that, like, on a fundamental level, I disagree with. But I really shouldn't judge, given my eating habits are also hot nonsense most of the time. But it's funny. Like, when I eat popcorn, I'm eating it by the handful, shuffling it into my face. You know, the typical American tradition of being a gross moviegoer, as taught to me by one of the Ninja Turtle cartoons back in the day. I distinctly remember an episode where I think it was Michelangelo, is that the orange one? I think that's the orange one, is like explaining to, I think they're in the future, and Michelangelo is explaining to moviegoers who are going to this like old decrepit movie theater as like a historical museum sort of setting almost, like they're eating popcorn piece by piece like what Kiwi does, and he's like, no, you have to take fistfuls of popcorn, shove it in your face. If it ends up on the ground, you're doing it right. And I'm like, yeah, that's how I eat popcorn, I agree. So like I am clearly judging her, but I to each their own. Again, I have some very abnormal eating habits for a number of things, like who takes an onion, peels it, and then just eats it like an apple? My grandfather, and me trying to emulate my grandfather for whatever nonsensical reason also, I guess. Although I've stopped doing that. The onions around these parts are super spicy and it just hurts to eat them. You need a good sweet onion if you're gonna do that, unless you don't feel the spice the way I do. But my goodness, tongue burning, eyebrows sweating, eyelids sweating. I'm not crying, I swear. I'm just like, well, I'm probably crying too because of the effect of the onions on my eyes. But believe it or not, It's more, when I eat spicier foods, I sweat from my eyebrows, I sweat from my eyelids, and it looks like I'm crying, but I promise you I'm not. It's just a weird quirk of my bodily composition, if you will. I don't know. This is a little sketchy. And okay, cool. We got him to the close quarters. Can we beat him here, though? All right. Nope, we can't. Okay, try again. So that was one of the chops. Anyway, I was saying, so the reason why I bring up the chopsticks is because Kiwi had never seen an Asian-style soup spoon. So, like, if you've ever been to a hibachi restaurant, you've probably used these spoons, the ones that have, like, a flatter bottom and, like, a kind of a more of an edge than a rounded curve, like the typical American silverware. And she definitely has experienced those spoons, but she because we've had hibachi together before, and so I know she's used a spoon of that nature. But regardless, to her, this was such a novel concept that she's never really properly experienced with, and she loves her chopsticks so much that she wanted to try the soup spoons. And this store had a lot of the traditional Chinese, or not Chinese, but traditional Asian style servingware. So so they had the spoons, they had the typical bowls that you see used at like various restaurants, by my experience in America, but I've certainly seen them used in anime, like those rounded bowls with the circle on the bottom that raises them off the ground a little bit, or off the table surface a little bit. All right, we're in a much better spot for the CQC. I'm lucky that didn't hit me though. Anyway, so so I got her 2 of those. Mom and I each placed a bet on which spoon she would like better. One was a black spoon with less of the ridge and a little bit smaller, so it's easier to fit in your mouth. And I went with one that's more traditional in shape, but also has a red and black aesthetic that Kiwi is quite fond of. And Mom and I placed a bet on which one would be her favorite. I was betting on the red and black one, and Mom was betting on the smaller black one. And as it turns out, I won the bet. I guessed correctly. I kind of figured that she would prefer the black spoon because it fits in her mouth better. This is a really weird conversation to be just fighting a boss randomly over, isn't it, Kiwi? Well, so be it. But anyway, one second. Okay, there we go. She's still undecided, so this is only a temporary victory at best. Thankfully, I remember that that the Bernard delays that third hit there. I had to sneeze, I'm sorry. Anyway, we're good. We're definitely good. Anyway, so as I was saying, I've completely lost my frame of reference to what I was talking about. My brain just got scrambled by the sneeze. I'm sorry. I'm very sorry for that. Yeah, it really got scrambled by the sneeze. I am so sorry. Okay, I can do this. Oh, I got pincered there a little bit. Anyway, so it was cool to see the kind of traditional cookware that I don't really get to use, and I might have bought more if we needed it, but our kitchen cabinets are pretty darn full of all of the things we need, so it would be kind of wasteful to buy things like that right now. Anyway, I digress. So I got Kiwi some spoons. That was a very long story to just end on. I got Kiwi some spoons, while also commenting on the size and shape of her mouth, and she's very thankful for the gifts. There was another store that had a store that was more like plush focused and like more like statues and things of that nature, like more collectible sort of items. And we don't really live in a setting where I can reliably collect figures just yet, but I would love to have like a little stand of all my favorite characters one day. More than anything, what I really want to collect are all the Pokemon that like plushes of all the Pokemon that I've used in my competitive team. I have a couple. Like my car has a Spiritomb, a Gengar, actually it has like 3 Gengars, an Umbreon, a Vaporeon, a Tentacruel. There is I do have a Togekiss plush, but I cannot find it. It is somewhere in my parents' house, and I don't know where it wound up. I think my mom cleaned one day and then it was lost to the void, because you know how moms do when they clean. Everything needs to go where they think it looks best, and then your organization system is just thrown out the window. And you'll never see some of your belongings again until years later. Actually, on that topic, my Nintendo 64 was missing for half a decade. and I finally found it because my mom put it in a box in the closet and never told me. So I don't really have a way to record N64 games other than playing the ports or the remakes on the Switch. But I do think at some point I am going to play Pokemon Stadium on this channel, just for the sheer nostalgia. We're gonna have some bad RNG sometimes, but I wanna refight the gym leaders and see if I can get anywhere good. Anyway, I digress. This has been like 3 levels of tangent, but it was really cool to go. I love going to the stores. They have some gacha machines, which, pardon me, you have to buy. What are they? Pardon me. You have to buy tokens at the front desk, which I think 1 token was like $5. So it's like a $5 gacha machine, which I don't know how they work in Japan. I know they have like entire gacha parlors, which are wild to me. Just an entire room full of the. For those who don't know what gacha are, they are the like crank machines. So if you the likelihood is if you live in America, you've been to a supermarket that has those little machines filled with little balls in them that have like cards or figures or some sort of little gimmicky toy inside of them, and then you put like a quarter or 2 into the machine, you turn a knob, and then one of those balls pops out. So in Japan they're called gachapons, and gacha games are kind of pretty much every cell phone game out there right now. It's kind of the mentality of loot boxes as a whole, to be honest. Because you don't know what you're going to get, but you're paying for something. It's effectively gambling. If you subscribe to that mentality, which I do. Anyway, it's kind of harmless, though. I mean, it's only a couple quarters, but certainly people have gotten crazy for those Gachapon machines, and in more expensive settings even more so. So I'm not going to say, like, it is still a degree of gambling, and it can lead to unhealthy habits. So I was a fan of them as a kid, but I never really experienced them much. I think the main ones that I got at my supermarket had sticky hands, like the big, like, gummy hands that you could like fling around and slap onto windows and get them stuck and stuff. Those were the days. I loved those toys back as a kid. My doctor's office had them too. Like, my doctor's office when I was a kid didn't just have. Okay, so this is based on the last boss, whose name I'm blanking on, but the hockey player looking girl who is follows the edge and isn't nearly as strong. Anyway. Interesting. Okay, so we're just gonna. This is just kind of a back and forth shoot, parry, dash, shoot, parry, dash, and as long as I keep that going, I'm in a good spot. Oh gosh, I didn't see that shockwave. What an interesting pattern. He's just gonna stand still, and I just have to shoot him to death. Fair enough. Thought I could parry that. Didn't work quite to my advantage. All right, CQC. Let's do this. Ah, I was too slow. Oh, and he delayed the attack. Okay. Wait, let us charge that up at least. I am lucky neither of those clipped me, but I was not mentally ready for that shockwave. All right, let's do this again. Anyway, I think gachapons are fun, but they can be dangerous if done in excess, which I think is the nature of most things in life. Everything in moderation, you know, that's the phrase. Everything in moderation. Anyway, get back into my rhythm here. This requires a little bit of brain, even though it's really only like a directional input and 3 buttons, but it's more resource consuming than you would think. Okay, there we go. Next phase. And I'm gonna remember there's a shockwave there that time. Successful. Okay, good. Oh, got clipped by that. We're fine. We're fine. Okay, come on. Let's see if we can do this. I still got clipped by that. Okay, I was ready for your delayed hit that time. Anyway, so that was part of it. There were some really cute Nintendo plush. My sister's been collecting Kirby plush lately, and I almost thought about getting something for her, but I couldn't find anything that she didn't have or that she would like, that I felt like she would want. Ugh. I'm a little slow on the parry there, unfortunately. So I ended up not getting anything for her or myself. There was a Venusaur plush there, and honestly, I regret not having purchased it. Like, if I ever end up back there and they still have a Venusaur plush there, I will get it, because Venusaur was not one of my regulars, but I did have one particular team that I ran that was a Sunny Day focused team. Had a Ninetales that cast Drought to get the Sunny Day going. And I did very much enjoy that team, and I of the Gen 1 starters, Bulbasaur is indeed my favorite, so I think in hindsight I should have gotten that one. It was only $20, which isn't a terrible for a Pokemon plush. I think it's about average. And I mean, this is like how often do I end up going to this sort of location? Maybe, again, if we're going based on averages, once every 5 years, so $20 over the course of 5 years, it probably would have been worth the purchase, but hindsight is 20/20. What can you do? All right, we're almost there. I think I can. Darn it, he caught me with the delay again. It was so close. We can do this. Dodge that, dodge that, dodge that, and oh, I was too early. I was so ready to end it. I got cocky. All right, I was ready for the delay there. I didn't mean to charge there, I swear. I think I've like trained my brain to want to start shooting as soon as. Oh, come on. That was kind of cheap. I'm surprised I was able to get behind him and dodge that, honestly. But all right, final phase. What is he gonna do? What's your desperation move gonna be? Okay. So this was his first. Oh. Okay, so he gives me a chance to heal. That's good. Oh, okay, so he's kind of just using all of his patterns from the previous phases. That's cool. And I mean, if he peppers in melee attacks, I'll have a pretty consistent chance of healing against him. So it looks like I basically just need to focus on dodging for a while. I wonder how long this is going to go for, if he's going to do every character's patterns. This is going to go for a while, I think, Kiwi. Anyway, so yeah, if I go back there, I'll definitely get the Venusaur plush, I think. But really what I'm looking for are Ghost-type Pokemon plushes. Any Ghost-type Pokemon I am happy to get a plush of. I know I've said I've really only got Gengar and Spiritomb, which is pretty lacking in terms of what I'd like. But I'm surprised I didn't see a Mimikyu plush, because Mimikyu is a Ghost-type, and it's pretty darn popular. Like, it's on the top of the popularity polls overall. Alright, just gonna dash around in a circle against all of these shockwaves, I guess. Oop, I don't know why I tried to shoot there, that was silly. I don't know. Well, I guess I tried again. This is fine, okay. Just dodge all the bullets, dodge all the shockwaves. I can do this. If this is the scale, that means we're about halfway there. And again, a little bit of HP goes a long way to keep me alive. Alright, now I think these are patterns based on the burst, but maybe this is the hands pattern? I am lucky that I dodged that. Anyway, I guess really all I want to say, because I think there shouldn't be too much more left of this boss, right, is I had a genuinely fantastic time visiting an old friend and her pets, and I'm really glad I got to have that experience and do a whole bunch of different things. But I guess one other thing I have to comment on before this is over is I watched The Bachelor for the first time. So apparently apparently Mom is a huge fan of The Bachelor and kind of those schlocky American reality TV dating shows. And we watched The Bachelor together, and I hate to admit this, but one, it was my idea, and two, I kind of enjoyed it, and I don't want to admit that. But I'm not going to talk anymore about that, because that is a weird place to end this video on. Anyway, Kiwi, I hope you've enjoyed watching, and if you're awake, I hope this is helping you fall asleep. We beat the Bernard. And oh, okay, we get the voice and the writer. I guess if we get a higher ranking, we'll see that. But I love you, Kiwi. I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Next up, Furier mode. Let's do this.